It is June 21st, Friday morning. So far, I have ordered 2 sets of mini skeins from two different independent yarn shops and sellers. One was Keenan Hand-Dyed Yarns, and you can see I've made a bunch of granny squares from the yarn that she provided and that she makes. The other was from a shop called Yarn in the Woods, and that was sort of a variegated mini skein set. And I really like how those came out. I really like how all these have come out so far. So last time on the first vlog, I had mentioned how I had a whole bunch of hanks. Well, this is the last hank that I have left to wind. I had said that previously the first 2 that I wound took me hours. Now that wasn't all at once. That was me doing other things at the same time. I now have 1 left, and I found a fantastic way to wind these up without spending money on a yarn winder or a Swift. So if you have got a bunch of these little hanks of yarn and you really have no way to easily wind them up, I'm going to show you what I did. It's super easy. It actually works up really fast, and you create nice little balls. Now they're not perfect, but they do the job. And all I needed was to get this into little balls or cakes so I could make these. So first of all, if you've got your hank of yarn, you just want to let it sort of unwind itself. And you'll see that you've got little sections where they've tied it off so it doesn't come apart easily in this whole process. And I'm going to show you what you can do without a Swift and without a yarn winder. All you need are 2 chairs. Take your yarn and wind it around the 2 chair backs. Cut the little pieces here that are holding everything together. Find an end and just start unwinding. Wind it around your finger. It took me probably maybe 5 minutes to do that. I am so thankful that I found a way cheaply that didn't cost me any extra money to wind these hanks, because otherwise I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So let's take a look at a little bit more in-depth look at how I wound up all of these hanks of yarn. And I had quite a few hanks of yarn to wind into balls. So how do we get something that it looks like this into something like this so that we can make something like these? Set up your 2 chairs so the backs are facing each other. Pick up your hank of yarn and unwind it. You should have something like this, a nice long hank of yarn, and you're going to wrap the yarn around your chair backs. And now I've got a handy little ball of yarn, and I can grab my crochet hook, create my little granny squares. This only took about 5 minutes to wind up on my fingers, and now I'm ready to crochet. So after I did that, it was a breeze, and I could just start making granny squares. I have an entire stack here. Yes, you can see the ends. No, I have not woven any of these ends in. In fact, the only ends that I've woven in is this tiny stack here and this stack in here. So I have a bunch of ends that I'm going to have to start weaving in. I was so good when I was starting to weave in all of my ends as I was going. So I had a whole bunch of final granny squares, and now I have this. But I am loving, let's see if I can show it a little bit better, all of these colors together. We've got the variegated on the end and then the solid grannies on this end. What I did though, when I ran out of some of that variegated, is I just mixed it in with one of those solids. This one worked out really nicely because it looks like the entire edge is just bordered in that solid teal color. But I've got one here, that blue I ran out of, and I still had a round and a half to finish. But I really like how that came out as well. And here's another one where I had just a little bit of that variegated yarn and most of that teal. And I just tried to match up as best as I could what solid color would go best with what variegated color. But really all of these colors so far have come together really, really nicely. I'm really happy with the progress overall. I can't wait to get all of these granny squares done so I can put them in a blanket. I'm hoping by the next vlog I'll have a bunch more done and I can kind of put it together and see how it's going to look and what squares I might want together. But for now, I am just super happy that I found a way to easily take up a hank of yarn without going out and buying a Swift or a yarn winder or anything else, without spending any money. I just used 2 chairs that I had at home. So that's all I have for this video. So until next time, happy crocheting, happy granny square making, and happy yarn winding, everyone. Bye.